Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, and thank you so much for tuning in with me today. So if you've been here for a while, you know that we are in a brand new studio. Yes, I did move out of my old place into a brand new place. So I am so happy to be filming my very first video with sound in this new place. And I've got to say, I really do love it. So for today, I wanted to make a video where I'm going to be featuring and of course also applying all of the brand new released makeup that I've been trying out over the past 1 or 2 months, because I had to postpone this video for quite some time just due to the fact that I was moving and it was exhausting. Let me tell you that it was super exhausting, but I'm so happy, to have arrived finally, to have everything set up, and I really hope it's going smooth from now on. And yeah, so I did pick up a lot of these newly released makeup products. Some of them might not be brand new by now, but nonetheless I still wanted to include them in a video all together so you guys can see what I've been playing around with over the past weeks. Some of the products I also have never used, so today is going to be a very first impression, but I think it's just like one product really that I have not used because it literally just arrived yesterday, and that is a brand new eyeshadow palette by Unearthly Cosmetics. I also do have a really good variety of other brands like REM Beauty, Milk Makeup, Fit Glow Beauty. We have some Blamp Bunny Cosmetics. I do have Tower 28. What else was there? Something by Martin Cosmetics and some Victoria Beckham Beauty. So I really hope you are going to enjoy today's video. If you do, don't forget to like, subscribe, and also ring the bell in order to get notified. And none of this is sponsored. I did purchase all of this makeup by myself. So I just wanted to point out that the affiliate links in my description box are not necessarily like direct affiliations with the brands, but they are with like a third party partner, which is called Shop My. And if you do want to shop something after the video, no pressure, just in case if you want to, I would really appreciate it if you could use my links. Again, if you have used them in the past, thank you so much. It is very appreciated. I'm going to do my best and link as much of the products that, are featured in today's video down there below, but I don't think I've got affiliate links for just about everything. So let's actually go barefaced and let's start off with the very first product. So in terms of primer, I actually did pick up two new primers. One of them was a new release. I know I'm late with this video, but I did try out the e.l.f. Liquid Poreless Putty Primer. I snatched this one because I actually had their predecessor. That one came in a jar, this one, so they decided to actually release a liquid version of this one. I was not the biggest fan, so I thought, I could give this one a try. This one is good, but it does not do as much mattifying as I would like it to do. It's okay in terms of pore blurring, it's fine. I would give it a 3 out of 5. I wasn't too impressed with this, but however, I do prefer it over this one. Most definitely. But I also picked up a different primer because, to be honest with you, I thought this primer could actually help the foundation. And this one is by REM Beauty and it's the Lunar Magic Blurring Primer. Since I have the new foundation by REM Beauty, I thought it would be a cool idea to actually also pick up their primer. I did not know that they had a blurring primer in their line, and I've only used this twice by now, so I have not made up my mind entirely on this product. But before I'm going to put it on, let's just quickly read what it says on the box. It says, infused with our REM Hydro Blur Essence, this ultra smooth primer cools on contact and helps minimize the look of pores, fine lines, and wrinkles for your best prep yet. Okay, so I'm gonna clip back my hair and then we're gonna put it on one side of my face and see if this can actually help cancel the shine from my skincare. My skin is not that oily. This is basically just, the moisturizer that I've put on. And, I just have some pores right here. Pores are normal, but I just love a good, blurring primer. And I prefer it even if a blurring primer can also mattify my face. all in one. And honestly, it does remind me of the Blur Jam by Glowish Beauty, by Huda Beauty. It kind of reminds me of that one. It's just a little bit different. So when I squeeze out a little bit here, can you see this comes out as like super thick? It's a really thick gel consistency, and that's why it reminds me of the Huda Beauty one, the Blur Jam. So I'm just going to put it on one side, and let's just put it here. It is definitely cooling. You know, this does not contain any oil ingredient, whatever, but it does contain, and I think maybe some of you may want to know this, it's one of the last ingredients though, but it does contain lemon fruit extract. And I'm gonna try and use this e.l.f. primer in a Shop My Stash video or something. So, you know, I still want to show that to you, but for today I feel like I do want to give this one another go. This also does not leave a tag or anything. I feel like it sinks in. So yeah, I don't think it's that poor blurring, you know. I feel like it's smoothing, it's cooling. But as you can tell, on this side, I'm still shining a lot more than this, although this has not canceled out to shine completely. So I'm just gonna proceed with this. I will say, I feel like the Blur Jam is a little bit better in terms of blurring. It feels soft and smooth and everything, but again, I've got primers that work a lot better in terms of blurring and in terms of mattifying my face, because that's really what I like in a primer, you know. Don't get me wrong, if you have dry skin and you just want a little bit of something, maybe this one is going to be right for you, but for me personally, I do need something that is a little bit more intense. For me, this is honestly, it's just not enough. It's just not enough for my liking. So let's actually move on to a very interesting product, and that is the new foundation that I picked up by REM Beauty. So this is the Sweetener foundation by REM Beauty, and this retails for $35. I was really, really intrigued by this foundation because it's $35, which is not excessively pricey, and it came in 60 shades. It goes from really, really light to really, really deep. There's a lot of different undertones. However, guess what? I got a shape mismatch again. Although I did their try on, their digital try on thing where you can actually, you know, take a picture of you and then try out a shade. But the thing is, the undertone that I chose was kind of wrong. It just looked a little bit too orangey on my skin. And I'm going to tell you what shade I actually picked up initially. I chose the shade Light 7C, which is a light with cool rosy undertone. So this is the shade Light 7C. And then I picked up the shade Light 5 Neutral. So that is light with neutral, slightly cool undertones. And I thought, oh, this is gonna work because I have like a neutral leaning cool undertone. Turns out this was way too fair on me. It was too light, you know. I looked like a ghost when I wore this. So for a long time, what I did was I mixed both of these together. I do want to show you guys a shade that is available and not something that you have to mix together. So I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna pick up another shade. So I picked up the shade Light with Neutral Undertones 6N. And that's the one that we're going to be applying today. It's a neutral undertone, so it has a little bit more yellow than these other two shades, but I'm going to swatch them on my arm and I'm going to show you how these shades actually look on my arm. Just keep in mind this is an arm swatch. It's not really how they're going to transfer on my face. In my everyday life, I might just end up having to mix these together just to get a little bit more of a cool undertone, because honestly I don't really like it if I have a foundation that has more of a yellow leaning undertone. So on their website they are saying this is a long wearing foundation formulated with our REM Hydro Smooth Essence, a clinically proven blend of raspberry leaf extract, also infused with niacinamide, known to help reduce the look of pores, correct dullness, and mattify and brighten skin. This formula delivers a natural matte finish with medium buildable coverage. It's long-wearing, vegan, consciously made, healthier looking skin, hydrating, cruelty-free. So my favorite way of applying this foundation is with a dampened sponge. Now you could definitely also use a brush. I just prefer it with a sponge. So yeah, I would say let's put it on. Let's put it on one side of my face, and I can show you what it's gonna do. So I'm gonna take out just a little bit here, but look at this texture. It's not gonna run down my finger. It is not like a liquidy, runny foundation whatsoever. It is definitely a little bit heavier. It's really like whipped and creamy, but in the best way possible. So if you have dry skin, I think you would love this. If you have oily skin, just make sure to prep your face correctly and also use a powder that is a little bit more mattifying, and you won't have any issues with this product. But just look at that. I feel like this undertone, it is a little bit too yellow. But let's go and let's just put it on. It's gonna be okay, you know, it's gonna work out. So I used like two little pumps on a finger, but just look at that coverage. Like that is insane. Like I still have that much left on my finger. I mean, this coverage and the way this blends out is just beautiful. And I've got to say this shade, although it leans a little bit more yellow, it's fine. It's gonna work out. It works, you know. It matches me okay. But just look at that difference. I don't think this is medium coverage at all. I feel like this is medium to full. Now, if you would build this up, you could erase pretty much everything on your face. Um, but yet, I feel like it does not look makeupy. It looks so natural. The finish is definitely like natural, not over the top dewy. Still has a little bit, you know, of shine, but not excessively, and I love that. So I'm gonna take another pump and do the other side of my face. Okay, so the foundation is applied. Again, I'm always leaving out my eye area because we are going to proceed with a concealer. I feel like this is maybe my favorite foundation of 2023 thus far. It's like the best one that I've tried this year. I did not try the same amount of foundations that I did try out last year. Last year, there were so many foundations being released. I feel like this year was a little bit more quiet on that front. I just love the way this blends out. I like the way this sits on the skin. It is definitely hydrating. It is like thick and creamy in texture, but it just blends out beautiful, and it just does not really look like too heavy on the skin. It does not give you cake face whatsoever. Foundations do go on everyone's skin a little bit differently, but if you do have the same opinion, or if you have a different opinion, if you have a different experience with the product, please still like share it with me, because I'm always really intrigued to know if something worked out for you that I love. So let's actually move on to the concealer that I picked up, and this was also a new release. So this is the Swipe Serum Concealer by Tower 28, and this retails for $22. So Tower 28 had recently released this brand new concealer, and everyone was so excited about it, including me. It kind of went like viral. I feel like everyone was talking about this. So I did pick it up initially in the wrong shade. This comes in 20 shades, and the one that I picked up initially was the shade 4.0 DTLA, light with medium cool undertones. Like, listen, that was way too light. So usually I'm a light or a light to medium shade, but with this concealer I had to pick up a medium shade. So I did pick up the shade 7.0 K-Town, which I think it's Koreatown, medium with neutral undertones. So this is the concealer. Now I do have a couple of thoughts on this concealer. It is very lightweight in texture, and initially when I tried this out, I wasn't the biggest fan, you know, I really wasn't. And then I heard someone saying that you have to let it sit for like at least 1 to 2 minutes underneath your eyes and then blend it out. And the concealer definitely did work a lot better when I did that technique. A hydrating concealer that glides on like a serum, but has the medium buildable coverage power to instantly cover dark circles, redness, and blemishes. Now I feel like my foundation has pretty much erased everything that was on my skin that needed some coverage. I'm just gonna be putting this underneath my eyes. And again, it's so lightweight in texture. This is almost like runny, but I'm just gonna use a little bit more, and you can see this neutral shade is also going to match my foundation. And honestly, with this, more is more. It's not like less is more, definitely not. It's not like the best coverage ever, And it's also not necessarily my favorite concealer because it does crease on me slightly. So I'm gonna let that sit for 1 or 2 minutes and I'm gonna be blending it out. 2 minutes have gone by. I'm gonna use my beauty blender to blend this out. The coverage is just going to be a little bit better if you do that, if you let it sit for a while. And also, I completely forgot to mention, you guys, that this is perfume free, and so is the foundation. None of those actually have a scent to them. And the primer also is fragrance free. It's just a little bit unflattering if you have some fine lines. It's not like that I'm too bothered by that, but I prefer a concealer that does not crease at all. It's definitely not like the most smoothing concealer. Definitely not the best, and it's also not the worst. I'm glad I tried it out, and I really want to do like a full face of Tower 28 because I've got so many products by them. And yeah, if you ever want a full face by any of the brands featured in a video like that, where I do have different brands in one video, drop me a comment down below and let me know what brand interests you the most. So before I am moving on to a setting powder, I actually do want to put an eye primer on my eyes. And I'm just gonna use one of my Sigma primers, and that is the shade Ignite. This is almost like a concealer and an eye primer all in one. And I'm just gonna blend this out with my finger, and then we are gonna be moving on to the brand new setting powder that I picked up. And I definitely put this one to the test. So I do have my thoughts and opinions already gathered. So this is by Milk Makeup, and this is the Pore Eclipse Matte Translucent Setting Powder, and it retails for $32. This is the old one that you can't purchase anymore, and it's the Blur and Set Matte Loose Setting Powder. This one is now discontinued. This had 25 grams of product, which is so much. Now they downsized it, and this one only has 7.65. However, I will say though, this powder was not my favorite one. I felt like it wasn't that finely milled, and it did not look that flattering after a couple of hours of wear on my face. This one is definitely a lot better in terms of quality. Now, they are saying a lot of things about this powder, and it got me really intrigued. And I really thought, do I actually want to pick this one up? Because I did not really enjoy, this powder that much. So I was a little bit skeptical. But I thought, let's just try it for the channel just to see if it's any good or not. So on the website, you actually can get this in 4 different shades. I've got this in the translucent light shade. Blurs pores and fine lines and sets makeup for a smooth matte finish. This product is 94% natural, clean, vegan, cruelty-free, talc-free, silicone-free, alcohol-free, and oil-free. Upon initial application, it really does like do such a fantastic job in blurring, but it's a little bit like fooling in the same way because it's just not the best in terms of oil control. It's just not the best. It's just not enough if you have oily skin. Now, if you have dry skin, go for this. It's gonna work fine. But I'm just saying, if you are somebody that struggles with like skin that gets like oilier throughout the day, you're gonna end up like retouching and retouching your makeup if you are solely using this powder. It comes with a locking sift, which is good, although it does get a little bit messy because I feel like the holes that they poked through here are a little bit big. So there's a lot of product coming out all at once, and it's just a little bit difficult to get the right amount of product out. Okay, so let's actually set a little bit of the side. It looks so pretty. That's why I kept on using it, because every time I put it on, I'm like, oh my gosh, this powder is so amazing. It just blurs and everything, but yeah, I wish it would mattify a little bit more in the long run. Okay, so just look at the difference. On this side, I have applied the powder. On this side, I have not applied the powder yet. You are fooled into believing, oh my gosh, this is the best powder I've ever used. I was stunned at this effect. It's so beautiful. It just sets your makeup into place. It blurs out everything. It just looks so good. After a couple of hours, it's just not the same thing, you know. So let's do the other side as well. So yeah, I feel like this powder has done such an amazing job in just blurring everything, setting my makeup into place, and it just looks so pretty. I really feel like I don't look like cake face, which this one made me look a little bit like cake face, you know. This one does not do that, but it's just not the greatest in oil control, you know, throughout the day. After a couple of hours, maybe I have to reapply this. Nonetheless, it's such a good powder. I feel like this is definitely an improvement to the older version, but that's everything I've got to say for the powder. So let's actually move on to, I would usually go on with the bronzer and everything, but these days I actually switched around the order of my makeup routine, and I'm gonna just move on with my eyebrows so that they are out of the way. And for my eyebrows, I picked up like also a newer product. It's not brand new. So this is the Baby Blade by Victoria Beckham Beauty, and this retails for $34. $34 for a brow pencil. Are you joking? I do my eyebrows every single day, so I go through brow pencils really quickly as well. And I really wanted this to not work out. But in this case, unfortunately, it does work out so well. This is a beautiful, stunning formula. Now, she actually has this in 6 different shades. I have this in the shade light brown. And light brown is such a good match. I like something that is not too creamy, because if it's too creamy, it may bleed. But I also don't want something that is too dry where I have to fill them in, and the pigment is just nowhere to be seen. So this is such a perfect formula. Also, the packaging here, it's kind of heavy and luxe, and I really like it, okay? I really like the packaging, it's really pretty. The shape of this pencil is like a micro triangle. If you have very thin eyebrows, you would love this. So I'm gonna be filling in one brow first, and I'm gonna show you what I mean, why I like this so much. So this light brown is such a good shade match, but just look at that. I mean, that is such a difference, right? And also how the pigment is just filling in my brows, it's quite perfect. It's really, it's a good product. It's just very expensive. For how much product are you actually gonna get in here? You're probably not gonna get a lot. Oh my gosh, you're gonna get 0.08 grams. This must be the most expensive brow pencil I've ever tried. But it's so good. Just look at that. It looks so pretty. I really love it. And you can be so precise with this as well. So let's do the same thing on the other side as well. Oh my gosh, just look at that. My eyebrows are back. They are alive. They are there. And honestly, with this pencil, I never feel like I necessarily need to put in a brow gel, but I'm gonna do it nonetheless because it is just, you know, I'm a creature of habits. So my Kosas Airbrow, nothing can beat that. If Victoria Beckham is gonna bring out like a brow gel that is gonna beat this, maybe. I'm not sure if anyone can beat this brow gel. I've got this in the shade soft brown. All right, but I feel like it's just a little bit of a different effect if I have this in. And if I don't have it in, I always feel like, oh, I forgot my brow gel. And it very rarely happens, but this is just such a good one. I use this in pretty much every video. Ever since I got this, I've emptied so many of those. I love it. I really do enjoy it. But all right, so I'm gonna just, you know, get rid of the clips because from this point onwards, I don't feel like I necessarily need them anymore. Okay, so let's actually move on to, you know, adding some color to my face. I definitely do want to add a little bit of a bronzer, and I did not really pick up a single bronzer, so to speak, but I did pick up an entire palette. And this one is the Forget Me Not palette by Blamp Bunny Cosmetics, and this retails for $44. Now, this is actually an eye and face palette, which is really cool because it's a little bit of a newer concept by Blend Bunny. But let's have a look inside, because this one actually comes with an array of face colors. Like there are contouring shades, there are bronzing shades, and there is also 4 highlighting shades in this palette. Now, thus far, I've only used this palette on my face. You can basically mix and match these shades, and you can kind of create a customized powder, so to speak. If you want to add a little bit of pink, if you need a little bit of white, if you need a very deep sort of shade, you can customize these contouring shades, bronzing shades as you wish, as you please. So I think this is a really cool concept. I feel like it's a great like palette for a makeup artist, because you really have such a great variety in different sort of like skin tones. I really do enjoy some of these shades, but I also do want to use this as an eyeshadow palette. Maybe not in today's video, but maybe in a future shorts video, I'm going to play around with this and create a neutral look if you guys are interested in that, seeing how this performs on the eye. So with the highlighting shades, I've tried out to use one of them as a face highlighter, and I had some issues picking these up with my brush. I always use this brush here to do my highlighter. This is a Scott Barnes 66 brush. So it's a little bit more fluffy. And I feel like you either have to pick this up with your finger, or you gotta pick it up with a little bit more of a firmer brush. I don't think like a fluffier brush will do the job that well. We are gonna be using the shade Remember as a contouring shade. And then I'm gonna use the shade Anticipation, this one right here, as a bronzer. All right, so my face is sculpted right now. I feel like the shade Remember is just such a perfect contouring shade if you've got my skin tone. It's so, so beautiful. So right now I'm gonna go in with the shade right next to it, which is the shade Anticipation, and I'm gonna be using that one as a bronzer. All right, so my face is contoured, my face is bronzed. So the bad news is I don't really have a brand new blush, because the last blush that I bought were the RMS Hydra Redimension, whatever they're called, blushes, the really stunning looking blushes. And I almost feel like I'm just gonna reach for one of those. I'm just gonna reach for an RMS blush, because those are the newest blushes in my collection. So this is the Redimension Hydra Powder Blush, and this retails for $35. Because in my Full Face of RMS beauty video, I actually did use the shade Key Royale, and I just showed you guys footage of the shade Crystal Slipper, which I find to be so similar to Maiden's Blush. Just this one is a little bit peachier. I feel like maybe we're gonna be using this one today, because it might work with the rest that I've planned for today's video. So let's just use the shade Crystal Slipper on my cheeks. So let's just apply a little bit of Crystal Slipper here. I really like it. It's a pretty shade, and I love this formula. I love these RMS blushes so much. If you're interested in them, I do have a full face of RMS Beauty that I just recently uploaded, where I'm like swatching all of the shades that I do own by them. And I'm using everything that I've got by RMS Beauty. So just check that video out if you do want more information on these. But yeah, let's actually move on to the highlighters. Now, honestly, I could try out the highlighters in this Blend Bunny Cosmetics palette, but I've got another palette, a highlighting palette that I picked up, and I really want to use that. So this one is by Martin Cosmetics. It's their Mayday highlighter palette called Shark Zone, and this one retails for approximately $45. I do have another highlighter palette by them, and I love that highlighter palette so much that when she had released that Mayday collection that was all inspired by sharks, and sharks are my favorite animal, when I saw that, I was like, I'm gonna get something. So I thought, I really, really loved the highlighting palette that I had. And this one just spoke to me because I always said if I could create a makeup line or like a makeup collection, it would be inspired by sharks. I'm too late for the game. But this is so cool. So when I saw this, I was like, I have to have this. This is also these shades in here. Oh my gosh, these shades look so, 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 so pretty. Especially the blue shade. I don't have any highlighting shades like that. I really want to try this shade right here called Mag. This one in particular, I think it's going to match the look that I kind of want to go for today. So apparently the shade Mag has a little bit of a sandy undertone with a little bit of gold in here. That is such a stunning glow. It's not like glittery or anything. They look like wet glow. I love that. Ooh, very pretty. And honestly, I cannot wait to try out both of these other shades. But I think for today's look, they're not gonna match. So that's why I used the shade MAC. It's so beautiful. Just a reflection on this. Very, very stunning. I really do enjoy it. So we are done with my entire complexion. So the next step, obviously, it's my eyes. It's brand new and it's by one of my all-time favorite eyeshadow palette brands in the world. I really freaking love this brand. So this is by Unearthly Cosmetics. It's their Sorcerous Smoke palette and it retails for $65. I really love their quality. I love their entire creativity. I really think their eyeshadow palettes are something very, very unique. But when I saw this palette, it just spoke to me immediately. I thought this was so beautiful for the season. It's definitely, I think, one of their Halloween releases. They had a couple of Halloween palettes this year. They also have one called Fall Magic Remastered, and then they also have their Devour palette. That one is on its way to me because I just want to have that. I just really want to have that Devour palette as well. So just stay tuned on here. Today is also not the last time that I'm going to be using this palette in particular. I'm definitely going to be creating more looks with this palette on my YouTube Shorts tab. But let's have a look inside. I'm going to show you the close-up. This is just like a perfect sort of fall tone palette. It has some shades of like green, mustardy greens. It has some muted peach shades. It has some more like rustic orange shades. And then we also have a neutrally almost like taupey leaning brown shade. And then these shimmers, they look so beautiful. I always feel like it's very hard to capture the beauty of something on camera because if you would see this in real life, the way these shimmers like reflect and just the different sort of like particles in here, they are just so beautiful. I kind of wanted to do something a little bit more like soft because it's definitely a little bit more of a neutral leaning palette, although it's definitely not as neutral as the Blend Bunny Cosmetics one that you just saw. Those are straight up just brown neutral shades, but that's also like a face palette. I mean, this is more like fun. Like, this is definitely fun. And for the season, this is such an interesting color story. And I cannot wait to try this out. And I'm going to be trying it out today for the very first time. And I do want to go into the shade Vision, this more like skin tone, peachy pink shade. Let's use this as a base. The palette leans a little bit, not too deep, but more mid-toned. But this one is a little bit lighter and this one as well. But for today's look, let's just start off with this one. And, I'm just going to place this in my crease and blend it out. All right, so the shade Vision is applied to my crease. Now I feel like these are very like smooth, they are buildable and they blend out really stunningly. Like no problem whatsoever, like, you know, building them up and blending them out. So next one, I want to move on to the shade Intention. This beautiful sort of like neutral brown shade. This looks so stunning. I really can't wait to play around with that. I'm gonna apply that shade Intention more towards like the outer part of my crease and build up the color a little bit more. They blended in with each other really seamlessly, and I really, really like it. So I'm going to be using a little bit of the deeper shade though in this palette called Soot. I really don't want this to steal the show, but I still want to deepen up my outer corner just slightly because I just like that. And if there's a deep shade in here, I want to try it, you know. So far, I'm pretty impressed with the mattes in this palette. So for the lower lash line, I think I'm just gonna be doing pretty much the exact same thing as I did for my upper eyes. So I think I'm just gonna go in with the shade Intention and then deepen up the corners a little bit with Soot. And before we're doing that, I do want to put in an eyeliner, but I don't think any of the Martin Cosmetics Mayday collection eyeliners that I've picked up will match this eye look because they are blue and gray, and I kind of want to go in with something more brown for this look today. So I've got this like really royal blue here, this gray, and then also like a shimmer blue, and I don't think we'll want to go with any of them. So I'm gonna use the other one by Martin Cosmetics. I freaking love this eyeliner. This is the shade Brown, their maroon shade, and I think this is gonna match. And then I'm gonna proceed with, you know, what I just said I would. I'm gonna use the shade Intention and a little bit of the shade Soot on the outer lower lash line just to deepen it up. I'm just going to use the NYX glitter glue, clean up a little bit with a concealer, and then we are going to apply some of these stunning shimmers. All right, so let's actually move on with one of these beautiful shimmer shades. I do want to go in with the shade Ritual, just on the outer part, and then use that stunning shade Vervain. This one just has the most beautiful reflection ever. It just looks so pretty. Okay, so this is definitely like a true bronzy shade with a little bit of like a champagne sort of reflect. I almost feel like it has a little bit of rosé to it as well. It's so pretty. Like, mind you, I'm still gonna be blending this out, but I wanna apply this other shade um, on the other part of my lid, basically, and that's the shade Vervain. And this shade right here might be my favorite shade. Wow. I don't even know how to describe this. This is like a multi-chrome almost with like shades of like pink and green and brown and I'm gonna put this all over my lid now. Like, let's just put it on. This shade Vervain, it's almost like a rusty antique sort of olive taupey. It even has some reflect of like pink in here. This is so unique. I just don't know if I want to use an inner corner highlight here from the palette. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to the Blend Bunny palette and see if I can use an inner corner shade from that palette. I think I might be using this one. This one is the shade Cheers. So I think I'm going to use that as an inner corner highlighting shade, and maybe I'm also going to highlight my brow bone with this. I honestly think this look is very much fall. I think this is a beautiful palette. I cannot wait to play around with this more. These shimmer shades are so out of this world stunning. The shade Vervain, oh my goodness, this is something. It is definitely something. So let's actually move on to the next product. Let's move on to the mascara. So this is the Vast Lash Mascara by Victoria Beckham Beauty, and this retails for $32. So since I had the eye pencil by Victoria Beckham Beauty, I also picked up her brand new released mascara. It's also a tubing mascara. This one makes my eyelashes kind of look chaotic. So whenever I apply this, my eyelashes don't go into the direction that I'm trying to get them to. So it's just a little bit weird, and I think it has something to do just with this bigger brush that is just not perfect for my eyes. The brush is just so big, it's huge. So I'm gonna be like curling my lashes. I'm gonna try my best and apply it in a way that I like it, but wish me luck. I'm very fussy with mascara, okay? I mean, the effect of this, it's all right, but it's just so clumpy. In terms of volumizing, I don't think this has volumized my lashes like a lot, a little bit, but above everything that I've experienced is clumping. Like I had to really just brush it out, and if you can't really go in with a lot of coats and you can't really build this one up, it's very difficult to get rid of the clumping straight away. So it is not the easiest one to actually use. And it's not very fuss-free, this mascara. I do prefer the Future Lash Mascara. I do prefer the thinner brush. And even with that mascara, it did have a learning curve because that brush is very narrow. So it's the complete opposite of this one. Once this dries down, it's dry. It's not gonna flake. It's not gonna smudge. It won't give you raccoon eyes, It's just such a bulletproof tubing formula. However, I do prefer the Hourglass Unlocked mascara. If I had to pick one, a tubing mascara, I would definitely choose that one because the brush is just more up my alley. It's more flexible. But okay, so that's enough for my eyes. My eyes are finally done, so let's actually move on to the lips. And for the lips, I did pick up a brand new released shade in an already existing product. So this is the Lip Color Serum by Fit Glow Beauty in the shade Cocoa. We have not talked or featured Fit Glow Beauty in a hot minute. I think the last product that I've reviewed by Fit Glow Beauty was their setting powder, which is actually fantastic. And this is a diehard favorite lip sort of gloss for me. Like I have so many of these shades. Just look at that. Fit Glow Beauty has an entire tray. I freaking love this formula. This is such an amazing sort of lip serum slash gloss. It's just so, so good. And I've been using this for years now. So, of course, when I heard that they had released a brand new shade and that it was a brown shade, I was in. I was in to actually purchasing this shade. This is the shade Cocoa. I think it's gonna work well with my eye look. So before I'm going to apply the shade Cocoa, I definitely do want to go in with a lip liner though. And I'm gonna use one of my all-time favorite lip liners. I freaking love this one. This is by Airy Paris, their Acai lip pencil in the shade Pout. This is such a beautiful, cool tone brown. I'm just gonna put this on my lips and then apply the new shade Cocoa. All right, so my lip liner is applied, so let's use this beautiful shade. Oh, this is nice. I freaking love it. It's a true brown. Might be my new favorite shade, Fit Glow. Thank you for a beautiful brown shade, finally, after waiting for years. Because I always felt like, when are they gonna come out with like just a brown? Just a true, true brown. This formula is beautiful. It gives you such a beautiful, nice reflect. Very glossy, very nourishing. It's not like tacky or sticky or any of that. This has also a good amount of pigmentation. Not all of them have the same level of pigmentation, although initially it's a little bit of an investment, but you're gonna get double of the product, 10.5 grams or something ridiculous. Like usually a lip gloss, if you're lucky, has 5 grams of product. And it's also loaded with a bunch of amazing ingredients for your lips. Again, I just love this formula. Otherwise, I would not continue purchasing them. And this shade, it's so perfect. This is like the exact lip shade that I love. But all right, you guys, those were all of the products that I was able to try out over the past months. I mean, some of them I was trying out a little bit longer. Others were literally first impressions today, like the eyeshadow palette, for example. And I've got to say, with most of them, I'm very, very pleased. And if there was anything, that I did not enjoy that much, I hope I communicated my issues well. So I'm really, really intrigued. If you have tried out anything featured in today's video yourself, do drop me a comment down below and let me know your experience with the products. And if you found the video helpful or you just enjoyed it, why not hit the like button? And in case you made it this far into the video and you have not subscribed just yet, I would absolutely love it for you to stick around on here a little bit longer. So just hit the subscribe button and don't forget to ring the bell in order to get notified about my upcoming videos. And until next time, please do take care. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.